The breaking point. The stars had always called to humanity. Even before we understood what those distant points of light were, we dreamed of reaching them. When we finally developed the technology to cross the vast emptiness between solar systems, we thought we were prepared for what we might find. We were wrong. Earth had been observing signals from deep space for decades before the hegemony revealed themselves. Their massive ships appeared at the edge of our solar system without warning, sleek, crystalline vessels that dwarfed our largest orbital stations. The delegation they sent spoke perfect English, their translators having analyzed our broadcasts for years. They called themselves the collective hegemony of advanced species, representatives of 27 spacefaring civilizations that had formed an alliance millennia ago. Admiral Sarah Chin, commander of Earth's United Space Fleet, remembered the first meeting vividly. The hegemony ambassador, a towering insectoid creature called Vexthor, had regarded humans with what she could only describe as contempt. "Your species has potential," Vexthor had said, mandibles clicking between words. "But you are still primitive by galactic standards. The hegemony offers guidance and protection, in exchange for certain concessions." Those concessions became clear quickly enough: restricted technological development, limited exploration rights, heavy resource taxation, and submission to hegemony authority on all interstellar matters. Earth's United Nations Council had debated fiercely, but eventually accepted these terms. What choice did they have against a coalition that controlled most of the known galaxy? For 15 years, humanity played by their rules. We handed over rare Earth elements, accepted their advisors in our research facilities, and kept our ships within the boundaries they establish. But humans are not known for their complacency. Dr. Marcus Okafor was the first to secretly break the technology restrictions. Working from a hidden laboratory beneath the Sahara Desert, he developed a propulsion system that didn't rely on the carefully monitored antimatter technology the hegemony permitted. Instead, it harnessed what he called dimensional folding, a completely novel approach to faster-than-light travel. When the Neptune Research Station successfully tested the prototype, the response was swift. 3 hegemony battleships emerged from hyperspace without warning and opened fire. The station, housing over 600 scientists and their families, was obliterated in seconds. "This is a measured response to your violation," Vexthor announced in a galaxy-wide broadcast. "The hegemony maintains order through compliance. Let this be a lesson to Earth and any other emerging species that might consider defiance." They expected submission. They expected fear. What they received was rage. When the news reached Earth, something fundamental changed in humanity's collective consciousness. The divisions that had plagued our species, nations, religions, ideologies, suddenly seemed trivial. For the first time in our turbulent history, humanity stood as one. President Elena Dubois of the United Earth Government addressed the planet that evening, her normally composed features taut with controlled anger. "Today, we witnessed an act of unprovoked brutality against unarmed civilians. The hegemony believes this will force us back into submission. They fundamentally misunderstand who we are as a species." She paused, her eyes burning with intensity. "Throughout our history, humanity has faced countless threats to our existence. Natural disasters, plagues, wars of our own making. Yet we have always emerged stronger. Today marks a new chapter in that history. The hegemony has demonstrated that cooperation with their kind is impossible. So be it." What the hegemony didn't know, couldn't know, was that Dr. Okafor's breakthrough was just one of many. While publicly complying with restrictions, Earth had been quietly developing technologies in secret facilities spread across the planet and hidden bases throughout the solar system. Particle shields far beyond hegemony specifications, weapons systems that utilized principles the aliens had never explored, communication networks that couldn't be intercepted. The Human Defense Alliance was formed that night, consolidating all military assets under a unified command. Admiral Chen was appointed Supreme Commander, with Dr. Okafor as Chief Science Officer. Their first action was not the desperate emotional strike. the hegemony might have expected. Instead, it was calculated and precise. 24 hours after the Neptune Station massacre, 50 stealth ships using Okafor's dimensional folding technology appeared simultaneously at hegemony outposts throughout the sector. Their weapons weren't designed to destroy. Not yet. Instead, they deployed targeted electromagnetic pulses that disabled. In the hegemony's central communications hub orbiting Proxima Centauri, Commander Jake Rodriguez led the boarding party personally. They encountered minimal resistance. The aliens were too shocked by the sudden appearance of human ships that shouldn't exist according to their intelligence. Transmit the message, Rodriguez ordered once they secured the command center. Across thousands of planets and stations, the hegemony's own communication network broadcast the footage of Neptune Station's destruction, followed by President Dubois' response. You believed us weak. You believed us compliant. You were wrong. Humanity will no longer accept the hegemony's authority. We do not seek this conflict, but neither will we shy from it. This is your only warning. Withdraw your forces from human space immediately, or face the consequences of your actions. The hegemony's High Council, 17 alien leaders representing the most powerful species in the coalition, received the message with disbelief. Their military commander, Grand Admiral Skull, an ancient reptilian whose scales had dulled with age, laughed outright. Let them have their moment of defiance, he said, dismissing the human threat with a wave of his clawed hand. We have subjugated species far more advanced than these hairless primates. Mobilize the 7th Fleet. I want Earth's major cities targeted within the day. But when the order went out, nothing happened. The fleet's communication systems remained silent. Their navigational arrays failed to activate. Across the galaxy, hegemony military vessels suddenly found themselves powerless. What the hegemony hadn't realized was that for years, human hackers had been planting dormant viruses in their systems, viruses designed to activate simultaneously when given the signal. Earth had learned early on that the hegemony, for all its technological advancement, had never faced a serious cyber threat. Their network security was centuries behind their weapons technology. As the hegemony scrambled to regain control of their ships, Admiral Chen gave the order for Phase 2. All units, execute Operation Prometheus. Across the galaxy, dimensional rifts opened, revealing hundreds of human warships. Vessels the hegemony had never detected, built in secret asteroid facilities and hidden lunar bases. Their hulls gleamed with an unfamiliar alloy, their weapons systems humming with energy patterns the hegemony sensors couldn't classify. The first target was the hegemony's primary shipyard orbiting Sirius. The facility, which had produced the very ships that destroyed Neptune Station, was surrounded before its defenders could react. The human fleet opened fire, not with traditional weapons, but with targeted gravity manipulators that crushed critical sections of the station while leaving nearby civilian habitats untouched. As reports of the attack reached the hegemony High Council, Grand Admiral Skull's confidence faltered for the first time. How? He demanded of his intelligence chief. How did they develop these technologies without our knowledge? The truth was both simple and devastating. The hegemony had underestimated human ingenuity, human determination, and most critically, humanity's ability to unify against an external threat. As Earth's forces struck throughout hegemony space, a small stealth vessel approached the Council's headquarters on Centauri Prime. Inside, Dr. Okafor monitored the mission's progress with President Dubois at his side. The infiltration team is in position, his aide reported. Operation Daedalus is commencing. Dubois nodded grimly. The hegemony crossed a line they can never uncross. Now they'll learn what that means. The breaking point had been reached. Humanity had been pushed too far. And now the galaxy was about to witness what happened when humans decided they had nothing left to lose. The reckoning. The hegemony's central command station orbiting Centauri Prime had never been breached in its 1,000-year history. Its defenses included quantum lock shields, reality phase distortion fields, and a defensive fleet of over 300 warships. Yet none of these deterrents had anticipated Major Sophia Williams and her team of 12 special operatives. They moved like shadows through the station's massive corridors, their advanced stealth suits bending light around them. The suits were the product of Dr. Lucia Mendez's research team, technology the hegemony had explicitly forbidden. Like so many of humanity's breakthroughs, it had been developed in secret, tested in hidden facilities, and now deployed with devastating effect. "Command, we've reached the central processing hub," Williams whispered into her neural comm. "Beginning data extraction." Back on Earth, in the subterranean command center beneath Mount Rainier, President Dubois and Admiral Chen watched the operation unfold through the team's neural feeds. The stakes couldn't be higher. This mission would either secure humanity's future or doom it entirely. "Extraction at 70%, Williams reported. "Wait, we're detecting movement. Security protocol activation in progress." The hegemony's alarm systems had finally detected the intrusion. Armored security drones converged on the processing hub, their weapons primed. But Williams had anticipated this. As the first drones rounded the corner, she activated the gravitational disruptor, another forbidden technology. The drones froze midair, caught in localized gravity fields 500 times Earth normal. Their metal frames crumpled instantly, reduced to compacted spheres of useless material. "Extraction complete," Williams announced moments later. "The Prometheus Protocol is ready for implementation." The Prometheus Protocol represented humanity's ultimate gambit. For centuries, the hegemony had maintained its dominance through technological superiority, particularly their control over the Galactic Communication Network and jump gate system that made interstellar travel and commerce possible. What they didn't realize was that Dr. Okafor had discovered fundamental flaws in their network architecture, flaws that could be exploited. "Execute the protocol," President Dubois ordered, her voice steady despite the weight of the decision. Throughout hegemony space, their communication systems began broadcasting a single message on all frequencies: the truth about Neptune Station, about the hegemony's suppression of emerging species, about the countless atrocities committed to maintain their power. Simultaneously, the Jump Gate Network, the lifeblood of the hegemony's economy and military, reconfigured according to human commands. Grand Admiral Catal was in the midst of coordinating a counteroffensive when his command console suddenly went dark. When it reactivated, the strategic display showed a completely different reality. Hegemony fleets were scattered across the galaxy, cut off from reinforcement, while human forces maintained cohesive battle groups near critical infrastructure. "This is impossible," he hissed, scales flaring in alarm. How could they control the gate network? The technology is beyond them. What Catal failed to understand was that humans excelled at reverse engineering. When given access to hegemony technology as advisors, human scientists hadn't just learned to use it. They'd learned to improve it, to find weaknesses, to make it their own. At Proxima Centauri, the most significant battle of the conflict unfolded. Admiral Hiroshi Tanaka, commanding Earth's First Fleet, faced the hegemony's elite Void Breaker Squadron. Under normal circumstances, the human ships would have been outmatched despite their technological advancements. But these weren't normal circumstances. "All vessels, implement tactical pattern thermopyle," Tanaka ordered. "Deploy gravity anchors." The human ships released thousands of small devices that activated simultaneously, creating overlapping gravity wells that disrupted the hegemony's maneuvering capabilities. Their ships, designed for speed and precision in normal space, suddenly found themselves fighting against invisible forces that pulled them off course. The Void Breakers, pride of the hegemony fleet, were decimated within hours. Those that weren't destroyed surrendered, an unprecedented outcome that sent shockwaves through the hegemony command structure. On Centauri Prime, the Hegemony High Council gathered in emergency session. For the first time in living memory, fear permeated the chamber. Fear not just of defeat, but of extinction. The humans have proven more resourceful than anticipated. Councillor Mirishan, representative of the oldest hegemony species, admitted, "Perhaps we should consider negotiation. Negotiate with primitives." Vex Thor spat. "Unthinkable. We must demonstrate our power. I propose we target their homeworld directly. Our remaining dreadnoughts can." He was interrupted as the chamber's massive doors slid open. To the Council's shock, President Dubois herself walked in, flanked by Admiral Chen and Dr. Okafor. Behind them stood Major Williams and her team, weapons ready but not aimed. "Your dreadnoughts won't be joining us," Dubois said calmly. "They're currently experiencing some navigational difficulties." The implications were clear. Humanity had gained control of the hegemony's most powerful weapons. "This is outrageous," Vex Thor shouted, mandibles clicking furiously. "How dare you invade this sacred chamber?" Dubois turned her gaze directly to him. "You invaded our space first. You murdered our people. You thought we would submit." She approached the council table, placing her hands on its polished surface. The entire chamber fell silent. "The hegemony made a fundamental error in its assessment of humanity," she continued. "You saw our technological limitations and assumed intellectual inferiority. You noted our divisions and assumed we couldn't unify. You observed our peaceful exploration and assumed we lacked the capacity for warfare." Dr. Okafor stepped forward, activating a holographic display. It showed the current state of the conflict. Hegemony forces in disarray, human fleets in control of key strategic points, allied species rising up against their former masters. "We don't want to destroy you," Dubois continued. "Despite what you did to Neptune Station, despite decades of exploitation, humanity doesn't seek vengeance. We seek justice and freedom, not just for ourselves, but for all species the hegemony has subjugated." She straightened, her expression resolute. "The era of the hegemony is over. Here are our terms: immediate dissolution of the Hegemony Council, recognition of sovereignty for all species, reparations for the victims of your expansion, and a new interstellar accord based on equality, not domination." Grand Admiral Skull, who had been silent until now, slowly rose from his seat. His ancient eyes studied the humans with newfound respect. "And if we refuse?" he asked. Admiral Chen stepped forward. "Then we finish what you started. Our ships control your network. Our systems have overridden your defenses. We could end the hegemony right now, but that's not who we are." The council chamber erupted in heated debate. Some councilors called for resistance to the last ship. Others argued for immediate surrender. The division played directly into humanity's hands, another miscalculation by a coalition that had always assumed its superiority. In the end, it wasn't military might that decided the outcome, but mathematics. Dr. Okafor presented irrefutable evidence that the hegemony's defeat was inevitable given current conditions. Their technology had plateaued centuries ago, while humanity's was advancing exponentially. Their rigid hierarchical structure prevented adaptation, while Earth's diverse approaches fostered innovation. 3 days later, on the steps of what had once been the hegemony's grandest temple, President Dubois addressed representatives from across the galaxy. Billions watched the broadcast, species that had lived under hegemony rule for generations, now witnessing its fall. "Today marks a new beginning," she declared, "not just for humanity, but for all sentient beings who value freedom and self-determination. The Galactic Cooperative will replace the hegemony, a democratic institution where all voices carry equal weight." As she spoke, the massive hegemony symbols that had dominated the temple facade were systematically removed, revealing the ancient stone beneath. It was a powerful visual metaphor, the veneer of hegemony dominance stripped away, exposing something more fundamental and enduring. In the years that followed, humanity continued to surprise its galactic neighbors. Instead of establishing a new empire with themselves at its center, humans took on the role of peacekeepers and innovators. Earth's universities opened their doors to students from thousands of worlds. Human medical advances were freely shared with species still recovering from hegemony exploitation. Admiral Chen, who had led humanity's forces during the conflict, eventually became the first supreme commander of the Cooperative Defense Fleet, a position she accepted with characteristic humility. Our strength isn't in our weapons, she often reminded her multi-species officers. It's in our understanding that true security comes only through cooperation and mutual respect. As for the former hegemony leaders, justice was served without vengeance. Vex Thor and those directly responsible for the Neptune Station massacre faced trial before an interspecies tribunal. Their punishment was not execution, but service, rebuilding the worlds they had helped destroy, working alongside those they had once deemed inferior. A century after the fall of the hegemony, a monument was erected where Neptune Station had once orbited. Its simple inscription, translated into every known language, served as both memorial and warning. For those who died here, whose sacrifice united humanity and freed a galaxy, and for those who would seek dominion over others, remember this truth. No species that survives the crucible of evolution is truly helpless. No people who have faced extinction and endured are easily conquered. The universe belongs to all who inhabit it, or it belongs to none. The lesson of humanity's rise echoed across the stars. Underestimate us at your peril. For when pushed too far, when crossed that final line, humans don't just fight back. They change the rules of the game entirely. And they never, ever forget.